What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Cloud Slayer channel. Hope you guys are doing well. Today we got another Monday ramble. As usual, I want to say I hope everybody had a great weekend, had a fun time, or it was really nice out this past weekend out here in Minnesota, up in the sticks that we would consider, I guess. Perfect weather to go camping, and so I went camping with my guy Matt Word, Matty G. Matty G. I don't know why I almost choked there, but we got to roam around the woods, and it was very, very peaceful. Didn't see Bigfoot or Sam Squanch or anything like that, but got a little getaway. Got a nice little view of a lake. I think which lake was it? Rice Lake. It's not the actual like Rice Lake by the native reservation, but there's another Rice Lake over in Solway, just off of Solway, and very nice lake. They had a beaver swim in, some swans or geese or something. I think there was geese, but it was fun. Water's nice and cold. It probably was a nice little fishing spot too. I think it's the Mississippi starts somewhere up over here, stuff like that. So freaking awesome. It's cool. You always hear those Lewis and Clark tales with Sacagawea and stuff like that. Where they trailed the whole Mississippi and stuff like that. Very good story. You'll hear about it in history, and probably already have, because nobody here's a kid. Nobody's a little punk kid. No, I'm just kidding. But it was awesome. Beautiful scenery. Nice secluded little campsites. Usually, you go to like a campsite where it's been more commercialized, or it's right in there with like a national park or whatever. And it's always crowded. There's a lot of people. Last year we went with took my son out there, first time camping for him, and little kids are screaming, like I think a high school type, just out of high school kids maybe. They were screaming all night, running around in the woods, being doofuses like kids are, right? And wasn't the best experience, I guess, but over there it was a really good experience and stuff like that. Like you get a gate at the end of the entrance and stuff like that. It's kind of a crappy place to get to, but it's because they're along some old logging trails. So it's the Bears Den campsites. If anybody ever wants to check those out, anybody that's listening, and it's free. You don't have to pay for the camping. You just got to go reserve it. They give you the lock for it, or the combination for the lock. You go open her up, and then you go down there and have some fun, right? With whomever you choose, and it's pretty awesome. It's freaking awesome. So, but anyways, we like to talk a lot about certain things to help keep ourselves positive in this channel, right? Keep ourselves positive, keep ourselves sane, and I've prefaced it before that maybe go camping with friends, go camping with family, go camping with whomever you fancy, I guess, right? Matt has a cool story that happened to them when they were out camping. I'll have maybe one of these days he'll tell us about it. We'll talk. We'll say it's all natural. We'll just leave it there. But go out, have some fun with your family, your friends, whatever. Shoot the crap, play some games, or just relax and while you escape nature. Sit by the campfire, roast marshmallows, roast hot dogs, or whatever you like to cook, right? And it's a lot more relaxing than just being home. The only thing you're gonna have to pay for is travel, and that's gas or whatever. Probably the only downside for that campsite was the toilet was outside. So if you don't like pooping without any walls, then it might not be the place for you, because you like a little bit more privacy. You don't want your You know, you don't want to be sitting on a box in the middle of the woods. But if you're okay with that, then don't worry about it, right? It was very relaxing. That's all that is, right? And so you like to have fun, go out with friends, family, whatever, and you know, go for hikes. There's trails all over the place. You probably got to bring some tick spray, stuff like that. Combat the insects, the tiny ones. There was ticks of all sizes. Like, I've never seen ticks that small before. Usually they're not like super big, but you know, normal size. They're probably maybe like 1/10 of an inch big, and these little ticks were probably half that size. So they were really tiny, a little more difficult to see, but holy buckets, were they out there? They were out there in full force, and we only went out into a little bit of the wooded areas, not for very long, maybe 20 minutes, you know, 10, 20 minutes at most. Rusty seen a porcupine. Lucky you didn't get to it. Would have been a crappy experience over at the doctor's for the poor guy, you know. But he didn't, so that was good for him. And you know, sometimes you just need to get away from those stresses of life. You know, some of those stresses that, you know, our worlds become more technologically advanced, and sometimes you just got to get away from that. The computers, the phones, the video games, and you know, whatever else that calls for. You know, it's almost like, you know, there's some fun to be had after the hard work is done, right? Putting up tents or whatever you're going to be sleeping in, and you know, splitting some wood if you have to, split some wood, start a fire, and you know, making sure everybody's okay, making sure that you know, you guys want to go swimming, you guys want to go freaking, you know, just walk some trails together that, you know, that maybe planned for. So, or maybe it's not planned for, but you just go out there and have some fun, right? But I think it kind of like brings us back to some of our roots, you know, like not too long ago, almost all human beings were doing that stuff if they, especially they had to travel or anything like that, right? They had to move from place to place and pack up, tear down, all that kind of stuff, put it back up before nightfall, you know? So our civilization has made bounds and leaps, but our DNA still craves some of those things for us to do, right? To get out there and get active. And I tell you what, there's a lot to do when you go camping. There's a lot to consider, right? It's a workout in a way, especially if you're not used to it. Especially if you don't know what you're doing, like your first time campers, you know. And you know, your family never took you out camping, so you're taking out your family because you want to experience it. You want them to experience it, or you're just going with a friend and you're learning things that that you need to bring for next time, or things you forgot, and you're like, dang it, I wish I gotta like make a list to make sure I, you know, got everything before I go out there, you know, stuff like that. And it's fun. It's fun for sure. I know I went with as least amount of supplies as I could get. Just slept in the bed of the truck, threw down a little foam mattress, and you know, sleeping bag, a blanket. It wasn't quite warm enough for me to not be covered up in a sleeping bag. So, but it will be. I think it was, I don't know, I want to say it was like 40 degrees out. So some people could be comfortable in that. I am not. I've been, you know, so, but anyways, it was very, very fun, relaxing, get away from civilization a little bit, and, you know, enjoy your time with awesome person in our case. And, you know, maybe, like, I never heard of that spot before, but, you know, you can reserve it. Maybe I'll have to take like some family out there or something, you know, that'd be awesome. I know a lot of people don't like camping nowadays. You know, sometimes you hear the older people, oh, I'm too old for that stuff. I've done the camping thing, you know, and don't want to do it now. So, yeah, which is understandable. You know, you wake up and you're not used to that stuff. You're used to your comfy bed, and your back's gonna ache. You know, a bunch of other stuff. You're gonna smell like firewood or whatever. And you know, it is what it is. That's the price. That's a small price to pay. You know, so. But anyways, the whole main thing is just, you know, live your life a little bit more. Get away from to get away from those serious things. Sometimes it requires a small bit of planning, and you know, maybe even a little bit of money just for the gas money, unless you live close, I guess. But or you could just do it in your backyard. Who knows? Yeah, you can have fun in your backyard. Nobody say you couldn't, right? You can still camp out there if you got a yard, unless you live in an apartment. But then I guess you would be reliant on friends or family, or you know, or planning out a camping trip, right? So a lot of cool things that go with that stuff. You teach them how hard it is if you do go camping. If your kids want to ever go camping when they get older, you know. I know when I was growing up, we would have to camp out sometimes, you know, out in the woods while we were setting up for certain ceremonies and things like that. And you know, it was very fun. My best experience, I think, with camping, where it was like most comfortable, was when we stayed out in like Pipestone for a couple of weeks. We had to set up and get ready for the ceremonies and stuff like that. This was out in Pipestone, Minnesota, and we had to put up a teepee, put up teepees and stuff. Well, first we were in a tent for first few days, and then we had to put up the teepees. So we put up teepees. So we put down the tents, and then we got to stay in a teepee. So it was pretty nice, you know, having a little a teepee. It was nice and warm. At this time, around this time, it gets really, really hot at these places, right? It's kind of weird because it was like it was hot enough for the sun dancers to be like hot and, you know, doing their best to, you know, fast and stuff like that. Might be like vision territory where somebody has a vision or something. And it might sound stereotypical, but it's true, right? And you know, it was like only like for a span of 4 or 5 days. We set up while we were setting up. The weather wasn't like the greatest. It was windy, cool, you know, stuff like that. But then while the ceremony is going on, it's hot. It's really, really hot. It's hot for everybody. Even if you're on the outside drinking a butt ton of water, you're watching these people, these guys, whoever chose to make these sacrifices while fasting, while getting pierced to the tree of life, that, you know, they're hungry and they're super, super hot, you know, and, you know, for them to go back to the family while they're, you know, during these days, like you can go visit them for a little bit while the ceremonies aren't going on. But, you know, you have to tip your hats off to them because they're not angry, they're not crabby or anything while they're doing this, and, you know, nothing but smiles. It's like, I don't know if I could not be hangry. Well, you know, my big self sits there and fasts, but it's different if you're going through that, I suppose. Also, it's wasn't our tradition, so we like our family liked to help out, but, you know, didn't really participate in that because that wasn't our beliefs per se. So it may sound weird, but, you know, didn't make much sense to me because that was my mom's excuse by not letting me give me a permission when I was younger. But, you know, I seen other people that were supposedly a different religion who did that, right? And I don't know. I think I'd probably try it out if I got a little older, if I didn't, you know, get told not to, I guess, from my mom, because you respect your mom's wishes a lot, especially in, you know, Native traditions. Anybody would, right? If you love your mama, if she's been a good mom to you, might be strict or whatever, but if they love you and they brought you up half decent, right? You respect what your mama tells you, what your mama thinks, and stuff like that. And you might be frustrated because you believe you can do it, even though they don't, you know. So sometimes you still got to fight a little battle. If you're serious about it, right, you'll be like, no, I'm going to do this, you know, stuff like that. So when you make up your mind, sometimes you got to step up and speak up for yourself. And, you know, that was one thing that when I look back was like a defining moment that could have been, if I really wanted to, I would have spoke up for myself and been like, no, Mom, I'm going to do this, right? It would show my seriousness, it would show my maturity at the time, but I didn't, right? I wasn't ready. I wasn't, I was just there listening to my mom, and I didn't put my foot down to speak up if I really wanted to. But I also, you know, I was very immature, so I know 100% I wasn't ready at those times. And, you know, I just wanted to goof around after, or during those times. And I don't know. I guess there's some things to be scared of, like, hey, man, would I be able to hold off from eating and stuff like that? But, you know, it wouldn't be a doubt when you're doing it, I suppose. So, but anyways, I hope everybody has a great one. I hope everybody stays safe and stuff like that, and stay away from dangers. You know, hopefully, if you're stressed to the max, you find that something that helps you not be so stressed out so much, right? Go. That could be anything. That could just be walking with your family. You know, simple as that. Just walking with them and talking, walking and talking is all you really need. Some form of open communication, right? Because sometimes as human beings, we get super lonely. We get stuck in our heads. And, well, at least I do, I guess. And that's where I, you know, overthink things. And sometimes, or especially before, I would be like super depressed about it, right? Reflecting about these things, especially if you're alone, you know, that's the worst time. And like my Uncle Mark always said, nobody kicks their own asses like we kick our own asses, especially on the inside. But anyways, like I said, I hope everybody has a great one. Until next time, this has been another Monday Ramble, and peace.